And we are live. Just pretend like I'm Joe Rogan, guys. I just went ahead and came on a little bit early because I saw Brick Jonesy saying, "Hey, what's going on? I don't know what to expect from this channel anymore. Give me a bunch of ones if you can hear me there in the sidebar." Let me see you, Brick. Give me something. Let me know. Let me know that you're over there listening to me. Give me a bunch of onesies. Yeah. How you guys doing? So today is kind of my Friday. I'm going to be heading out to Conroe, Texas for the Paul Ehline Memorial Motorcycle Ride against service-related cancer and post-traumatic stress disorder. So I figured, I know Brick's like, hey, I thought this channel was just all about OTVO, and it is, but I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone because I was going to do a video on my own channel just to remind people to come out and celebrate with us in Conroe. But I said, you know what the heck? I'm so burned out on making these videos. Had a rough day at work. I've been up since about 03. Got a couple briefs done. And OTVO, give me a bunch of OTVO. So let me say thank you to Captain Bams for showing up, and Greg B, Jorge Hernandez, or George if you prefer. Gloria, as always, thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. And then Steve, who cut your hair looks like mine. Arr! That's right, man. Drop and give me 20 if you like my haircut, guys. Now, there's so many people to thank. So many more people on Chille's channel than on mine. I just get 20, 30 core people who just want to learn the law. And then everybody else likes to watch all these videos about cop watching. But so anyways, I'm not always doing that, but BZ Watchdog told me I have to start doing more cop watch videos. So I'll do that for you guys. But the purpose of this meeting today was just to give you some updates about Chille, what's going on. So he really wants to focus on prison reform, but not just prison reform, jail reform. That's a really big deal for him because jails are like dungeons. And I did a video about this. If you look up the definition of a dungeon, I mean, the Tower of London was a dungeon. So there's no requirement that a dungeon be underground. But if you want to split hairs, you can. But a dungeon is a place where people go and they're basically tortured. And a lot of the stuff that goes on in those jails is torture. And right now, they don't even separate the violent offenders from the people who are nonviolent. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Knowing that your son or daughter could be falsely arrested, falsely accused, then locked into basically a gladiator academy. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, give me a bunch of ones if you think that that's crazy, because I think it's crazy, and I know that Chille thinks that it's crazy. And by the way, my shoulders are almost as broad as Chille's, right, guys? What do you guys think? Just kidding. Just trying to get a laugh. Give me a bunch of ones if I've got broad shoulders too. All right, cool. So I always try to throw some comedy in here. I'm not into the whole insults and negativity thing. It's never a super positive thing. But I did want to show you some stuff today that is a little negative, and it's about what they feed you in jail, because I want you guys to get an idea of the kind of food that they're feeding our prisoners. And again, remember, some of these people have been falsely accused. But I wanted to preface this with, we know that certain chemicals like aspartame, it converts to formaldehyde in your bloodstream. We know that it's basically a preservative. It's not healthy for you. We know that sucralose converts to chlorine in your bloodstream. That's not good for you. So we know that all these things that they give us and the FDA or the CDC approves, a lot of them are really dangerous for us. And you'll find that prisons are like the repository for all these chemicals and all this garbage, and they're putting this stuff into these people, these guys, mainly guys, but a lot of ladies too, but mainly guys, and they're feeding them this garbage food, just destroying these people, and then putting them in solitary confinement so they can't even prepare for their hearings. So I've had that before where I have clients and they put them in lockdown and they're just completely spaced out. kind of like Chille was for that last hearing when he was kind of like this. You put someone, and again, it's not necessarily solitary, but it's, what's the word where they put you in a small room with a bunch of psychopaths? It's kind of like a dungeon, or a dungeon within a dungeon, but there's a word for it. I think they call it lockdown. I mean, somebody put it in the sidebar for me, help me understand. And by the way, thanks everybody for showing up, all 160 of you so far, to give Chille a little bit of love. I know that I don't have his great personality or whatever, but I do have a pretty extensive knowledge of the law and general legal principles throughout all the states. And I'm just here to try to share some of his things that he's wanted me to share with you, and give you a dungeon update, and then tell you about the memorial ride that we're going to be doing this weekend in Texas for veterans, and the goals behind that, which is to get legislation passed to open up the West Coast bases to the same protections as we have back at Camp Lejeune, and, for the vets who had suffered in the burn pits, or the Vietnam vets who suffered from Agent Orange. We're trying to get those same protections for the West Coast guys. But for right now, what I want to do is I want to show you this video, because I've been doing this research about prison reform, having visited Chille in jail, and to see just what a terrible place it is. It's really grown on me about how important prison reform is. And so I want to share with you this video so you can get an idea about what they're eating in there. Get an idea of what your son or your daughter, or what you as a political prisoner, if you go against the deep state or the administrative state, could be suffering in there. And so here we're going to go. We're just going to play this bad chicken, as Big C in the sky would say.
You're looking at a typical breakfast served at a correctional facility in Oklahoma. Hot cereal, hard-boiled eggs, some potatoes, 2 slices of toast, a fortified fruit drink, milk, and the option of coffee. There are a lot of carbs, but not much protein, fiber, or vitamins. A lot of prisons serve fortified powdered drinks, often sweetened with aspartame to make up for the lack of nutrients, but most people don't drink them. By the way, an average prison meal costs around $3. Here's lunch at a detention center in Seal Beach, California. A couple of hot dogs, some potatoes, mac and cheese, green beans, and water. In a national study of prison food, 93% of incarcerated people surveyed reported feeling hungry between meals, and 94% said they weren't able to eat enough to feel full. And finally, there's dinner, which could consist of white rice, baked beans, cornbread, peas, applesauce, and water. It's another high-carb, low-nutrient meal. Eating meals high in sugar, salt, and refined carbs that lack protein, fiber, and essential vitamins can lead to physical issues. Many people leave prison with lasting health problems like diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and anemia. And poor quality food does more than just physical harm. Research shows that nutritional deficiencies can contribute to behavioral and mental issues, including heightened aggression, brain fog, and depression.
So you guys kind of get the idea, right? I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, the food that they feed you in there is garbage. And we know that per capita, there are more blacks in prisons. And we know that they have high instances of diabetes. Well, I'm not saying that, causation or in correlation are always the same, but it does seem odd to me that it's a super high sugar, high carb diet. It just lends itself to hypertension and diabetes. And then, of course, who are the people who benefit from this? Well, it's the big pharmaceutical companies who sell these drugs that treat symptoms. But, if you train, if you work out, try to avoid alcohol and eat right, the instances of diabetes is almost non-existent. So, look, the prisons are poisoning our people. And going to prison shouldn't be a life sentence. It should be a prison sentence or a jail sentence, right? Give me a bunch of ones if you think that jail should be to serve your sentence and not have it held over against you for the rest of your life. Now, we just saw recently that the Ninth Circuit held that, based upon the Bruin decision, that it looks like at least nonviolent felons will be able to get their Second Amendment rights back, and I applaud that decision. That is absolutely amazing. But we know that it's probably going to go en banc, and the Ninth Circuit is probably going to not allow that to happen. The point I'm trying to make is that Your Second Amendment rights are unalienable, God-granted rights according to the Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, natural law. So it seems to me that whether you go to jail or not, even if you're a violent offender, your Second Amendment rights should not be affected. That's a discussion we can have another day, but it just shows you that prisoners are punished far beyond the time that they're in jail. They're punished for the rest of their lives on their employment applications. If they're a nonviolent offender, it's really hard to get a job. I know that in Nevada, it's hard for anyone with a felony to get a job because it's a gambling state. So, there's gambling machines and stuff like that, and almost all the restaurants. So good luck getting a job, right? Especially if it's a crime of fraud or dishonesty. So anyways, I wanted to share that with you. I don't want to spend a lot of time because I want to prepare for this event tomorrow, but I wanted to let all of you guys know that Chille's doing as good as he can for the situation that he's in, that he is studying the CLEP, which is the college level equivalency program, and he's trying to learn the basic requirements that you need in order to sit for the baby bar, which is contracts, torts, and criminal law. And that's the same program that Kim Kardashian is on. And I think she passed the baby bar after her third attempt. I think it's like less than a 10% pass. So it's not going to be an easy thing, but that'll be good for him to, if he's able to get through the rigors of studying for the bar, it should be okay. Now the state bar has made it a lot easier. They've lowered the standards to make it less difficult for, I guess, minorities to become lawyers. They decided to lower the standards for everyone. But California still is the hardest bar exam in the entire nation. The easy ones would be like the super easy ones that anybody could pass would be like Wisconsin or something like that. The smaller states have kind of like podunk bar exams, but California is still the hardest one. So he's going to have a really tough road to toe. But I think that he could pass it. And I think that if he did, and he did it the traditional way, which is reading for the law, which is how I did it, by studying under judges and lawyers the way that they did it prior to law schools in the 1800s, you can actually learn by doing. For example, I tried 3 cases to a jury before I was even a lawyer as a certified law student. And I also did hundreds of depositions and got this great experience that you'll just never get from sitting in a classroom. So that's the way you can hit the ground running, because you already know how to do the paperwork, the pleadings, you know how to make the arguments, you understand courtroom decorum, you have a better handle on the rules, the ethical guidelines as well. Most of the guys fresh out of law school, they really don't know what they're doing, and they have big egos and little to show for it. And so 20 years in practice almost now, and having had hundreds of employees, most of the guys fresh out of law school really don't know what they're doing, but they have big egos. So it's really hard to find a humble one. They usually expect a secretary and whatnot, and they don't even know how to do basic paralegal work. So I'm hoping that Chille will be able to know how to do all that basic litigation before he even passes the bar exam, like a paralegal would. And with my help and the help of other lawyers like Ellen Beck, we should be able to help him get on the right track as far as how to shepherdize a case, how to do legal research, how to find if there's other statutes that are similar in nature to the common law statutes, to find common ground when you're litigating a case. There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm going to look in the sidebar here and see if you have any questions. But so far, does anybody have any questions about what Chille's trying to do? Does anybody have any comments about the food that they're feeding these guys in jail? And because we don't really hear a lot about that, right? We hear a lot about the abuse, but what about the long-term abuse of feeding them this horrible food, just garbage, trash food? Let me take a look in the sidebar and see what you guys have to say. OTVO, Brick Jonesy. Hey, Brick Jonesy, what do you think? I'm trying to give the people what they want, right? But I also have to tell people what's going on in the dungeon. I didn't have time to do a reaction video, but Chille wanted me to share with you guys what his long-term goals are. So he's really focused on studying, and he really loves it that you guys are helping him out, sending him books and stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I think so too. So Bruce, you know, look, when I first started out, you know, I was pretty brash before I, you know, started studying law under attorneys. And I just think that if he surrounds himself with well-grounded people who know the law and goes to court and stuff like that, he'll get the swing of it. He'll be all right. He's a pretty outspoken guy, as I was, but there's a time to be outspoken, and that's not going to be in court. You stand or fall on your pleadings, and in courtroom decorum is really, really important. You have to really, really be polite and civil and courteous if you want to be successful. And it's important for people like a Chille to have a lawyer who's evenly balanced and well-keeled, because you need to have that objective reasoning. You can't both be on the same wavelength, or you'll get, you know, both of you will end up getting put in torture cuffs, right? We don't want that. So let me see if there's any questions for me in the sidebar. Just give me 1 second. We don't stop. Do I think that military bearing helped me as a lawyer? Absolutely. I think that military bearing helps you as with anything in life. It's super, super important. And a lot of you guys may not know, but my goal was to be a lifer in the Marines. And I was injured during Marine combat training after I graduated boot camp. And I was the first series in my recruiting battalion to go through MCT. And we weren't even supposed to go through MCT because I was an infantry Marine. I was only supposed to go to SOI. So I blew my knee out, and MCT made it all the way through SOI and then got sent to a medical platoon, because it's kind of hard to get through SOI on a pair of crutches, and they didn't really like that. But yeah, that kind of blew me out. So because of that, you know, I became a small business owner, had a limousine company, used to be Rodney Dangerfield's driver, and had a construction business because my dad was a builder, and ended up getting a paralegal thing and starting to do all the contract work for my firm, and started helping other people, and then started doing contract work for lawyers. And then lo and behold, I found out from a lawyer there's a way to become a lawyer with no law school. And I went on that program, ended up clerking for an appellate justice and working for the prosecutor's office. And I'm telling you guys, anything's possible. And the Marine Corps is what gave me that impetus, that internal fire that proved to me that I could do anything and nothing was going to stop me. So even though physically I couldn't, you know, do a 3-mile run like I wanted to anymore, I could put my brain on a 3-mile run and win in court. And I became a very successful attorney, made millions of dollars, and was never really that happy with the financial success, and always really appreciated activists. And so that's where I'm at right now, trying to be a better activist and be true to the things that originally attracted me to law, which was holding the government accountable. It's just that on my path to becoming a lawyer, most of the guys that I clerked for and studied law under were personal injury attorneys. So naturally, that's what I got good at. So it was a great way to make a living, but not the most fulfilling job. And so when I see guys like Chille out there fighting the good fight, trying to hold government accountable, that's inspiring to me. When I see guys like Dick Heller out there fighting for the Second Amendment, that's inspiring to me. So I try and devote a significant amount of my time as a volunteer to help people, including people like Chille, even if it's pro bono, just to help out. Now, to answer some of your other questions, I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, what about Chille? He did all these terrible things in the past and this and that. You know, I'm really not focused on what people did in the past, you know, unless there's, you know, some extenuating circumstance, you know, like crimes of fraud or dishonesty. I wouldn't want to be around people who are, you know, who are convicted of being fraudulent or dishonest or anything like that. But when I see someone holding the government accountable, I already know that they're kind of for lack of a better word, an oddball. They're not your typical people. They're like me. willing to go to jail for what you believe in. It's a very rare characteristic that you're going to find. And so me as a lawyer and a civil rights lawyer, I have a lot of admiration for people like that. And not just people like Chille, not just Chille, like this Long Island audits guy. The guy's a stud, man. I mean, he is out there putting himself out there, knowing that one of these, jackboot dudes, I'm talking about, could have a few screws loose and just draw down on him. And when I see these guys out there, I know you guys all say, oh, they're just grifters. They're just trying to get views or whatever. And they're good if they are, that's great. But look at the good that they're doing for society. I mean, the police have really changed their ways and their policing and how they do things. Even with public records requests, you can see how much more careful they've become since we've held them accountable by filming them. And so I just think that is really, really brave. And when I was young and we tried to do this stuff, the police would just take our cameras and smash them and arrest us for a 148 and cart us off to jail as they're smashing our heads in the back of the cruiser, putting the torture cuffs on too tight. And you tell people about it and they'd be like, oh, you're lying. There's no way the police would ever do that. But now we know that they do that and it happens all the time. And so I appreciate it when we run across people like Chille who hold law enforcement accountable. Let me look at your questions and keep asking me questions, guys. If you have a question about the law, if you have a question about this event that's coming up this weekend in Texas for this motorcycle ride, the Leathernecks Motorcycle Club is going to be there, so you can ride at the back of the pack. There's going to be at least one Navy SEAL combat corpsman there, a couple of Recon Marines, I'm pretty sure, a lot of infantry guys, Pogues. Everyone's going to be there because, we don't care in the Marine Corps what your MOS was. If you're in the Corps, you're one of us and you're a brother. And everybody knows that. That's why people love the Marines. We're totally different than any other branch. Love to have you guys. Let me look in the questions here. All right, let's take a look here. Oh, yeah, forget Long Island Audit, BZ Watchdog says. Forget Long Island Audit. What about BZ Watchdog? BZ Watchdog is killing it. And one of the cool things about BZ Watchdog is that he has really taken an interest in learning the law and learning administrative law and specifically public records requests. And he understands the difference between federal and state. So it's a lot easier for him and I to have a functional, happy conversation. So one of the things that I like to do is educate people so they understand basic procedures and guidelines, general legal principles. Again, if we're talking about a general legal principle, you're always going to have to narrow things down to whatever state that you're in. But what I will do is I will try to teach guys like BZ and you the general legal principles that they'll teach you in law school. And then you'll take that and you'll have to apply it to your state. And then you'll have to also see if it's subsumed or there's a similar statute. But that's what you do. And that's what's cool about the law is that it's an art, it's not a science, and that all of us together can have a lot of fun learning together. And you learn by teaching too. So it's a really great experience for me as well. And I have 2 slots open right now for students if you're interested in studying to become a lawyer on the law study program. I typically only train Marines or someone who is in a combat arms unit because they're generally the only ones that have the sticking power to do self-study. It's really, really difficult to be driven enough to do self-study. And since the California bar exam is hands down the most difficult bar exam in the country, probably the world, but you really have to barrel down and double down in order to pass that bad chicken, as Chille would say. By the way, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that like and subscribe button. Give it to me, guys. Give me a bunch of ones for Chille. Now, the one thing that I did want to point out is I'm not going to be able to see him this weekend because I am going to be in Texas. So he just wanted me to relate to you guys that the movement needs to be focused on prison reform. It's a really big deal. And I think that we all should be writing our congressmen and senators because that is true petitioning, by the way. We all should be writing our congressmen, our local congressmen and senators, and we should be petitioning, trying to reform the prison system. There should not be private prisons. Look at these politicians, how they get money from these private prisons. Look at some of the recent arrests and convictions of judges who have been working and colluding with foster homes and with child protective services with kickbacks to steal children from their parents to keep these jails filled with people, and how disgusting that is. Just look at our prison system. It's disgusting. There shouldn't be a prison industrial complex at all. And we won't even get into the military industrial complex. Let's just talk about prisons. It's just ridiculous what's going on here. And then you also have the problem of politics. You know, if you get a Soros type DA and you use a firearm in defense of your family, guaranteed you're going to get charged, even if it's on tape that you were acting in self-defense, because what they want to do is bleed you dry, because they don't like the Second Amendment. They don't like guns, and they're going to show you with their political persecutions. Why do I tell you this? Because it all starts with your politicians. You guys need to be contacting your representatives and your politicians and doing audits of them, because we don't stop. Be doing audits of them, following them around and filming them. When are you going to start changing the system? Why are you taking money from a private prison? Why are you taking money from the prison guards union when we have innocent people locked up, or people that are nonviolent offenders locked up in a gladiator academy, destroying their lives, destroying any opportunity that them and their families had, because now they're taken out of society, away from their job. Their wives are left. Usually their wives are left with the kid, and there's no way to support themselves. That is absolutely unacceptable. And if especially for a nonviolent crime, give me a bunch of ones if you agree with that, guys. We need to change the system. And I agree with Chille, and I align with him on a lot of issues. And this is one that I really, really hold dear to my heart. We need major prison reform, guys. And so, being a civil rights lawyer and having all the experience that I have, the most horrible thing that I ever experience is when I have to visit my clients in jail. And obviously state prison's even worse to do visits. I mean, they make you take your shoes off, and there's a dude sitting in a room watching you. At least at the jail, when you're visiting Chille, they give you at least a private area to meet. But for crying out loud, it's just terrible. So let me look in the sidebar, see if you guys got any comments. And you can ask me questions about the law, my legal experience, what I would do in certain situations while I'm here. Yes, Marcus, I agree. Alvin, Simon, and Theodore, I love it. So somebody said should have never been allowed to be a private. Okay. Don't know what that's all about. Hey, James Forbes, good seeing you, man. Love you guys. Yeah, we don't stop. That's right. Well, Greg B says, yeah, sorry, humans are flawed. That's true. We are. But what's our baseline, James Forbes? I mean, what do we have to compare ourselves against? Where's your standards? That's the problem we're having in California. They keep lowering standards, and they say, well, because of racism, we have to lower standards. But pretty soon, you're just going to have complete blithering idiots like Fani Willis, and like running your governorships and stuff. It's going to be even worse than it is now. And you got to have intelligent people, not what do they call them? DEI hires. Shouldn't be hiring people because of touchy-feely stuff. You should hire people and put people into positions of authority because they're better than you, regardless of their skin color. Right? Give me a bunch of ones if you think that you should only have people in positions of authority who are morally and spiritually better than you. Not just smarter than you, but spiritually, morally better than you. We should be choosing people and electing people based upon them being morally better than you, better than me. I don't want to be that guy because I don't feel that I'm moral enough. I want to have that guy who's like a real legit moral leader. That's what I'm thinking about. Give me a bunch of ones if you think that way. Give me a bunch of twos if you worship Baphomet and you don't think that way. Let's see what you guys have to say. All right. Yeah, I got my ones. Yeah, Mama Lion. Woohoo! You guys are funny. So let's see. So what's the first thing that you would do if you're in Maine and want to study law? Well, that's a good question for us. And I actually just finished writing my book on how I became a lawyer with no law degree. And in that book, I go over the different states that do offer similar. I mean, it's never going to be exactly the same, from state to state, just like our laws and statutes, they're all going to be a little bit different, but California has clearly the most liberal one, but also the most difficult one because so few people are able to pass the baby bar. The other ones, man, reach out to BZ Watchdog. I'll see if I can get you guys some digital copies of my book. I just don't have it. If somebody can help me create an uploadable link for the book where I can link it to my PayPal or something, just tell me how to do it, because I could answer that question really quick. My book will tell you how. So the first thing that I would do right now, if I was in Maine and wanted to study law, is I would first look to see what are the requirements to becoming a lawyer in Maine. I would look to see if they offer a law study program or an independent law program where you could get an AA or a bachelor's and then work in a law office. I do particularly think that law office study is far superior to any law school, because law schools are basically a place where you sit down and you take lessons from someone who probably couldn't make it practicing law, so they became a teacher. And so having studied under multi-billionaire lawyers and learned personal injury law from them, it enabled me to operate at a very high level very quickly and to be able to be very successful in my field of endeavor. And I think that the best way to do that is to forego traditional law school and study under someone who's really good at what they do. Now, the downside to that is that you would not necessarily get a lot of training in maybe criminal law or real estate law, but you really don't in law school either. They teach you black letter law and you take a bar exam. But my remedy to that is that I would bounce around. So I would study law under a criminal lawyer at the prosecutor's office, and then find a civil lawyer to study under. So I didn't have to go through the program studying under one lawyer the whole time. And so because the people that I ended up clerking for would hire me as their paralegal anyways, the fact that I left them and studied under another lawyer, they didn't care, because to them, I could be sending them briefs on the weekends, doing a reply brief or something like that from home, emailing that to them while I'm studying under another lawyer or clerking for a judge or whatever. So the really cool thing, more than anything about the law study program, is that it gives you an opportunity to work in many different fields of law while you're studying to be a lawyer. But you're developing the collegial aspect of law that you don't really get from a law school. I mean, you kind of get the academy, the law school collegial thing. But when I mean collegial, I mean like that professional relationship you get with other lawyers. So I would go to court with my supervising attorney. I would go to depositions with them, go and argue briefs for him while he stood next to me as a certified law student, do depositions. And so that experience is really what makes the difference, as opposed to someone, who went to a regular law school and maybe does contract work once in a while. They really don't really know what they're doing. And it's kind of sad, because the traditional way of becoming a lawyer always was externing and through the Inns of Court. And I do talk about that in my book a little bit, about how the Knights Templars, really were the first lawyer training academies. Let me look in the sidebar, see if I can answer any more questions. And guys, keep talking to me. Give me questions here, and we'll answer them. I'd be liable to take a bribe. It's not in the nature of politics. Yeah. And that is true. It's not in the nature of politics for the best men to be elected. The best men do not want to govern their fellow men. That's true. But sometimes they're forced to. Like I would say George Washington was forced to lead in his case. But you're right, it is rare. Let me see here. And look, I agree with Two Hemisphere. I mean, the WEF is it's Lucifer incarnate. There's no question about it. What these people are trying to do to the world, it's devastating that these people have so much control over our news media, our school system, all of social media. I mean, it's just unbelievable, man. Wow. Give me a bunch of ones for Two Hemisphere viewer. By the way, you might as well go ahead and try to add Two Hemisphere viewer because I think that's a good person to have as a friend. And hey, Forrest, another Mainer. I love it. All right. Let me see here. I'm just looking at these questions, guys. I want to answer everything before we lock up for the day. We need to follow someone else. Yeah, and I agree with that, Brick. I think that what Brick Jonesy is saying is true. We should not be following other people. We should form loose confederations, and we should have fellowships and friendships so we can develop our own systems where we only do business with fellow patriots and we get outside. We have our own parallel systems outside of the government control. And only then will they start listening to us. Because when they have BlackRock and then they have Amazon and the guys that run those companies own CNN and Washington Post and they own all the news, all you're getting is garbage. And you know that they control the politicians. So you know that the politicians are going to pass laws to help them, but not us. I mean, did you guys see the recent Monsanto lawsuits or the $28 billion felony fraud award against Pfizer for lying about the safety of the stuff they inject people with? But yet you would have your social media accounts, if you say anything bad about them, banned? Really? You guys think that that's by accident? Think about it. So let's take a look here. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe button. Hey, by the way, Chille was actually in high spirits. And again, that's for the situation that he's in. And then all I can say again is that the people at the jail actually were really nice and courteous to me. And I think that I do have to hand it to the Nevada Department of Corrections on that, is that everybody, compared to Twin Towers, because I've had to visit plenty of clients at Twin Towers in LA. I mean, those you want to talk about vampires, man. Those deputies and the jail personnel there. I mean, those guys, you can like almost feel like demons coming off of their bodies. Like you can tell that those people are just not humans anymore, right? Like that lady on the airplane, like, you're not even a human. Or remember that lady on the airplane? Like that. That's how I felt. Like, these people aren't even real, like, gosh. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. If you've had a law enforcement officer in your family, it's like no personality, right? It's just like super cynical, just like their soul is completely gone from their body. And gosh, how terrible that is. They need to become born again humans, right? We should pray for them. Hallelujah. That they could become a born again humans. Hallelujah. How do you guys think about that? I could do a good Ernest Ainsley and the Southern Baptist, Jimmy Swaggart. I'm good at that. Sam Kinison was a Southern Baptist. By the way, so I was Rodney Dangerfield's driver, and he used to talk about Sam Kinison. He discovered Sam Kinison. Of course, you guys know that Sam Kinison died in a really bad, I think it was a head-on collision in Nevada, I think. Yeah, but he was a Southern Baptist. Southern Baptist preacher, yeah. So let's take a look. Yeah, Melania, free Chille. It won't stop. That's right. It won't. So, all right. And hello is for suckers. That is so cool. And that was a great video. So, guys, do you have anything that you want me to talk about or anything like that? Or is anybody going to come and show up and visit me this weekend out in Texas? What's going on with that? Are you guys doing anything to send Chille any stuff for commissary? Do you guys want a link to his donate button for charity? I have not been able to secure counsel for him for the municipal case yet with the crime scene tape. That is definitely on the list of things that need to be done. So if you guys want to help, or if you have any suggestions, if you know Nevada criminal defense attorneys, I would love to know more about them. I'm less concerned about their reputation on Google and more concerned about what people say about them as far as being reliable. There are so many lawyers out there. You hear all these great things about them, but then when it comes to them picking up their phone and taking your calls, and I want to be able to have the ability to have access to my lawyer, especially if I'm a guy like Chille, because we know that he's always out there hustling. Because I really want to get this guy down to Uvalde, Texas with me. We've got this woman who had her children taken away from her by Child Protective Services. And it is believed that happened because she rescued her children during the Uvalde school massacre. Apparently, she escaped her handcuffs, hopped the fence, and rescued her kids. And her payment for that was now that she lives in a garage and she had her kids taken away. And Chille and I were headed down there with Dick Heller because Dick Heller raises money for her and tries to help her. And that was where we were going when all this happened. And I'm really pissed because I'm really worried about this woman. And to me, she's a national hero. And it really, really hurts, man. And we can't even find her now. We don't even know where she is. And I feel kind of responsible in a way, like, man. But anyway, so now you guys kind of know what's going on. Let me just take a look here in the sidebar. Look, I'm here, guys, to talk to you. I took the day off work tomorrow so I can crank out a quick video and get on the airplane. So, I came in today to try to answer any questions. So type them in the sidebar, because if not, I'll bone out of here pretty quick then, So let me take a look here. Yes. Can one of the mods put up Chille's links? Because I'll be honest with you, Marcus, I cannot find, I got a new computer and it doesn't have the links memorized, and I can't find his GoFundMe link. But if somebody could throw that up, it would be really awesome. By the way, good to see you, Marcus. As a lot of you know, Marcus Aurelius was not only one of my favorite Roman emperors, but he's one of my favorite Roman philosophers. And I'm real big on ancient philosophy, Japanese and ancient Latin, Roman. And so it's always cool to see people who appreciate history and philosophy coming into the chats and talking to us. No, I have not, Truth of God. I'm interested. If you can put it in the regular comments, I'll take a look at the 1963 congressional entry by Albert Herlong Jr. I'll take a look at that. Well, supplanter, I know what you mean. They might claim to have standing, but they would not. But the problem is the courts think that they have standing, and they're the ones ultimately who will separate you from your family. And I've been through this, man. I represent a lot of families. I'm a parental rights lawyer, and I've seen what happened. You do not want to have, trust me, if you live in California and you have kids, you need to move. Do not let your kids go to school in California. Don't do it. Not a public school. So let me see here. And a lot of my friends, they're living in Nevada and working in California because of Gavin Newsom's anti-parent garbage, where parents have to basically make their kids chattel property of Gavin Newsom's perverted state government. He can go F himself. Okay, so let's see here. Can a police officer be put on the Brady list without going to court? The officer lied about Chille backing up. I don't know. And I don't know that it would ever rise to that level, because I don't think that a court's going to make a finding that's going to harm the officer's career. But I do believe that if he'd had a regular jury and a lawyer who was better prepared, that he would have been able to create a reasonable doubt in the minds of at least one of the people on the jury. He didn't have the best jury. I mean, let's put it that way. I would not want to have a judge as my jury, especially if I was a guy like Chille, because we know that these judges, a lot of them were like traffic court judges, and they hate the so-called sovereign citizens more than anything. And they think that Chille's just one of those guys. because we know that the FBI recently got caught for illegally spying on American citizens again for the umpteenth time. It got buried again. But we know that one of their things that they do with the help of their friends at Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL is to try and characterize anyone who doesn't agree with them politically as a potential violent extremist. And of course, people who fight traffic tickets or distrust the government or believe in legal immigration are automatically characterized by the modern FBI, for example, as potential violent extremists. And I did a video on that. It's on my channel. It's an absolute fact. It was an illegal spying program, and Congress just released their report. I think it was March 4th. It was either March 4th or May 4th, but it's on my channel. It's like, I think it's called "Can I Sue the FBI for Illegally Labeling Me an Extremist?" So take a look at that and you'll know what I'm talking about. So we know that because of that a judge like that is going to be probably biased against anyone who's anywhere near a traffic stop. And so I'm not saying that she was, because I'm not going to go out there and insult a judicial officer. That's not my place. But I think it is your place to be the judge and the jury. And I also think that, a lot of people on this channel believe in jury nullification. And in this case, we had several statutes that are so vague and ambiguous, they could be construed in any way, shape, or form. But whatever way you construe them will always get you an arrest and conviction. And that is the problem with these statutes about, interfering, obstructing. I mean, it could be anything. And so it's not well defined, and it basically leaves it up to the officer's discretion to raise a lot of money, make a lot of arrests, get a lot of convictions, and for people like Chille to be stuck in the dungeon. What do you guys think? Give me a bunch of ones if you think that jails are no different than a dungeon. Give it to me. Give me a bunch of ones. Give me a bunch of twos if you think that jails are great. Let's have a look at that one. I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be watching you. All right. So they had an entire team. So what is he saying? There was an entire team. There's an entire team set up to go after cop watchers and auditors. They went after Direct D, got all his emails. There's so many that have been taken down. Well, Melania, I don't really know a whole lot about Direct D or any of these guys, other than they all seem to hate Chille, and by extension, they hate me too. But if that's the case, I would be very interested in knowing more. And even if I personally can't represent him, I certainly would like to have, depending on what state he's in, have one of my friends take a look at this. I have a real problem with government overreach and illegal spying. These people are public servants. And when they flood our country with illegals, criminals, and dangerous people, and these people do wrong, they have a penchant for passing laws that take away more of my freedom and your freedom. That's one of the reasons why I can't stand these people, because they literally create the harm that gives them the power to take more of our freedoms away. People that come into our country, if they're going to live here, they should take a test. They should swear an oath to be loyal to the country. They should know about our founding fathers. They should never get a free phone. They should never get a hotel. They should never get SNAP benefits. They should never get free health care. They should offer something. And then by the grace of God, through hard work and being recognized by fellow citizens, they should eventually be able to become citizens like our parents did or our grandparents did, because that's how you build a strong country. People who love their country, not people from third world countries waving hammer and sickle flags around. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree with that. Now, maybe you're already giving me ones. Who knows? Let's take a look. Delete Walls suggested Todd Henry of Henry Law Firm told me he sent you an email. I don't know who that one is, but I'll talk to him. That's right. The Bill of Rights was written to protect. The Bill of Rights was written to protect you from the government. That's right. And basically all the Bill of Rights is it's a recognition of pre-existing God-granted rights that you're born with, inherent, natural, God-granted rights. And of course, the World Economic Forum says that rights are just made up. They're just nonsense. There's no such thing as rights. God's made up. It's all a farce. just live in 5-minute cities and take your injections and be happy with the check that we send you as we fly around in our Lear jets. Yeah, think about that, guys. So now I don't know Greg B, Todd Henry of Henry Law Firm, but if you sent me an email, I'll look in my spam. Okay. Now keep in mind, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling, and I'm going to try my best to live stream this event. I've never done a live stream before on my phone, so I don't know how I'm going to do. I was hoping BZ or one of his cop watcher buddies would show up, because they know how to use all that highfalutin camera equipment and whatnot and such. But let me see here. Yes, the woman having her children stolen from her, that's beyond evil. I've got to get up and have a cigarette now because I'm so livid. That's right. It is Luciferian. Everything that my dad told me, end times, the Lord's returning, I just thought it was just nonsense. And now I see it happening in real time. You go to Target and they have satanic symbols with rainbow flags. You go into public schools and you see these public school teachers trying to secretly transition kindergarten kids. And they're allowed to keep it a secret from the parents. Parents aren't even allowed to know. And they tried to say that that's not true, like fact checkers who are basically just a bunch of sickos. But we know it's true because I represent several families who have brought claims against the state of California. And that's exactly what they're doing, guys. They're literally grooming school children in California in some of these public schools. And it's always sexual. It's just disgusting. Leave our freaking kids alone, guys. Anyways, let's, yeah. So Greg B, that's right. That's his jail number. And you know what I'll do, guys, is somebody reach out to BZ or just email me through the michaelehline.com website, and I'll put it up on the description of this video. But yeah, I do appreciate y'all showing up. I know it's not the most exciting show tonight, but at least we got to talk a little bit. Yeah, that's right. And now they're allowing illegals. Why do you call them immigrants, by the way? They're here illegally. They're not supposed to be here. They've been invited up here by non-governmental organizations that are funded by your taxes for the purposes of redistricting and changing the electoral college. That's why they're bringing them here, guys. That's the only reason. There's no other reason but to fix elections. Now, let's take a look here. Yeah, that's right. I agree. Damone. And there's a Bill of Rights for coppers. You guys are funny. He sent you an email or you received it? Yeah. Greg B, I don't know who Todd Henry is, buddy. Talk to me about if he sent you an email. I don't know who that is, bud, but I'm totally okay with talking to him. Absolutely. Let me see here. So we got somebody. Sam says, I'm fighting a 1A case in Alaska. I got beat and tased at a public office. You know, we really do need to form some kind of an alliance or network of civil rights lawyers to help auditors. And I think for a lot of reasons, but one of them is to train you guys how to interact better with law enforcement and how to interact with them alone. You always need to have somebody there with you, like a buddy. Otherwise it's too easy to get entrapped. It's a real problem. I think there has to be almost like training in order for you guys to get through this. And that's something that we should talk about. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys think we need to have like an auditors academy or something where we get some basic training, like boot camp. Now let's take a look here. Yeah, that's true. We do need to start fresh with the Constitution. I honestly think we just need to go back to the Articles of Confederation. I mean, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights it enabled this democratic form of government to prop up, where mobs have come along and taken over considerable control of the country. If you're not a stakeholder, if you don't own property, if you're not contributing something substantial, why should you even have the right to vote? So you can vote to take away my property to get a welfare check? How is that fair to me? So it just seems like everything's backwards. There should be a merit-based society where people earn things and we build relationships with people. And then we don't need to rely on the government. Like if everybody in this channel right here was all doing business with each other, we would be we'd be good. We'd be good. We could build our own parallel systems. That's all I'm talking. Give me a bunch of ones if you know what I mean. Forming your own parallel systems the way that Martin Luther King did back during the civil rights movement. He got the Black community to develop their own parallel systems. Why can't patriots build their own parallel systems? Why not? We could send a big message to all these scumbag European bankers and whatnot who are destroying our country that we're not going to do business with them anymore. Couldn't we? Think about that, guys. Just think about it. So, okay, I won't say it out loud. Luciferian, that's right. Luciferian. Yeah, I know. And a lot of the ones on the college campuses are illegal aliens. They're being paid by these Soros front companies to raise hell at the campuses. They're saying at least 30% of the protesters are not U.S. citizens and they're not college students. So that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Now, Greg B., I'm not sure what this guy is, but I'm interested. I'm not glossing anything over, Greg. I know that you've always been very active on the threads, and I want to help you guys. And everybody understands something. I work, 13, 14 hours a day, and I volunteer my time to come on to help Chille's channel. And I like to put stuff up on my channel because I like to teach my kids how to be entrepreneurs, teach them how to do videos. So I'm trying to teach my kids a lesson too, and have some fun with it. But it's not easy for me to get back to everyone right away. I'll be stuck in mediations or depositions for half the day. You won't meet too many real lawyers that actually come on the channel, come on YouTube, that actually practice law. Most of them are not practicing attorneys, at least the ones that I've run across. And so I'm trying to do it all, and I'm doing my best. So just bear with me, okay, guys? Because I'm trying to help also teach you guys some basic legal principles, keep you out of trouble, All right. So Brick, I agree that they're human beings, and I'm not, but I agree that they're human beings, and so are you. And if you own a home, people should not be coming into your house unless you had an opportunity to know who those people are. And what we're doing is we're paying people to come up here for the sole purpose of redistricting the Electoral College. And we're using taxpayer dollars to do that. And we can't afford it. We're $75 trillion in debt. When I was down in El Salvador last year, there were these Antifa-looking dudes with hammer and sickle Velcro stickers on their backpacks with clipboards, handing out cell phones to these people down there, giving them pamphlets, teaching them what to say to the Border Patrol, how to lie, how to say that they're political refugees, a roadmap where to get food and how to come across. And you and I have to pay for that with our tax dollars. And they don't even know anything about our country. So I agree that they're human beings, and I'm going to show them compassion. I'm mad at our own government and these nonprofits who are bringing them here, making them our responsibility. So on a human level, I love all people. But I don't love what our government's doing by flooding our country with these people for a political reason. And it's not helping us. I mean, now we have more criminals on the streets causing trouble. I don't think that's fair, being a dad and all. But yeah, I agree with you. They're humans just like you and I are humans. And if those dudes come to your house and raise hell, I'm going to be the first person there to help protect you and your family. That's the only point I'm trying to make, brother. That's all. Let's take a look here. No, I wouldn't read it out loud until I asked you. Oh, Basil, be nice to James Forbes. He's cool. He's a cool dude, man. Now, keep in mind, BZ is he's a Recon Marine. So you two military dudes, you're going to butt heads. It's just how it goes. Yeah, Bob, as far as Chille's release date, I don't know, because I don't know if he's going to get good time or not. We've heard so many stories about, him being thrown in the I guess the heightened security unit and all that. So I don't know how that's going to affect his time. But as soon as I know, you're going to be the first ones to know about that. Okay. Yeah. So Greg B, I'm going to take a look. I'm going to do a search on my email for Todd Henry as soon as we get done with the show tonight. Okay, brother? I got you, man. Now let's take a look here. What's the matter, you? Yes, Joker, more people do need to understand the Bill of Rights. And so one of the things that I'm going to start doing is, at least, once a week, I'm going to do one of the amendments, and I'm going to talk about it from a historical context, not just tell you what it is, but what are the historical underpinnings of the First Amendment? What was the reasoning behind it? And I'll talk about what the founders had to say, and then we'll say what it is, and go into it that way. Law school doesn't really teach you the history of the law. They just teach you some esoteric black letter law stuff, but they don't really teach you the history of the law. And you really need to know that. You need to know about Blackstone's commentaries on the English law. You need to read a little bit of Thomas Aquinas. You need to know about the basic history, the Inns of Court system. And once you do, you'll have a way better understanding of what's going on. It's almost like a rude awakening, because you're like, wow, really? Like, once you know the law, it really opens up your mind to a lot of things. It's really amazing. So let's take a look here. Yes, I agree. Melania, there needs to be a policy, procedures, and protocols that auditors and cop watchers follow. Like Chille has said, there must be there for both sides. There has to be a clearly established set of rules, because what's going on right now is we have arbitrary and capricious arrests, arbitrary and capricious enforcement, and it just makes people who hate cops even more. And that's not what we want. Nobody should be hating anybody, because we're all God's children. So my wish for everybody is that we delete laws and we elect people based upon them deleting laws instead of passing laws. And I've told you guys this before. We should vote for people based upon the laws that they'll agree to delete, not based upon passing more, because more government means less freedom. And as Americans, we should want to be as free as possible to the nth degree. We don't need more politicians and academics telling us how to live our lives. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree with that. Let's hear it. Yeah, and I agree with Jonesy, on a human level. I just don't think that I should be forced to foot the bill for someone who comes into my house wanting everything, especially if they're not one of my brothers or sisters or someone who I trust. I want to make sure that I have some kind of an arrangement or an understanding. These people coming into my house, who are you? Who are you guys? Now, being a libertarian, in principle, I support the concept of open borders, and I've told you guys that before. But the problem is we're inviting people to come up here with free shit, and that shouldn't be happening. Nobody should get anything for free. Everybody should have to work, and then and your best social, network. What do they call that? Where it catches you, the social net or whatever it's called. That should only be for an emergency. Right now people are using welfare as a system to survive. And now we're just bringing in more people who are going to get on Section 8 housing. They're never going to get jobs. I mean, all those jobs are being replaced with AI. Cashiers, burger flippers. There's no work for them. I mean, those are the jobs that they normally do when they come from third world countries. Those people are all being replaced with machines. They're only coming here to change the Electoral College. And they're doing it with our tax dollars. And it's unfair. So thanks, James. The bigger the government is, I love the Joker. The bigger the government is, and the more laws it has, the more corrupt it is. That's right. And there's all kinds of renditions of that throughout history. I'm just glad that I have all you guys here with me. I really appreciate it. Secure your wallet. Let's OTVO. Just glad I have all you guys. So tomorrow I'm gonna go into I'm gonna do a quick video tomorrow and just put this whole solicitation thing to rest, because I know I've really gotten some amateurs upset about some of the things that I've said. But just in a nutshell, so a couple weeks ago, I saw a video from this guy where he said there's no such thing as soliciting trespass. And so I proved that there is, and they even teach it in law school. And then it went from that to, well, but cops can't solicit a trespass. And then I showed videos where cops plausibly could commit or solicit a trespass. And it was based on general legal principles that same thing they teach you in law school. Basically, I just taught exactly what they teach you in law school. And then this guy attacked me saying, well, but in California, in Nevada, it's not the same as what they teach in law school. So I just figure, well, I'll entertain this guy, even though that was never a topic for discussion. So you'll just see this guy constantly being caught being an amateur, and then he'll just change the goalposts and the discussion onto something that I never even addressed, kind of like a fact checker, where they'll look at something you said and then attribute a statement to you that you never made to make up for their idiocracy and not being able to adequately address the original issue. And you'll find that a lot with amateurs. But I'm just going to humor you guys to show you how, when a general common law legal principle is no longer the main body of law in your state, I'll show you how to find other statutes that are similar or close enough to get the same result. And that can be done in many ways. And other than that, we will do a little look here in the sidebar. I'm paying attention to you, Greg. I am. I like Thomas Aquinas, supplanter. And lawyers definitely can be liars, that's for sure. Now, you guys know the difference between a lawyer and an attorney, right? A lawyer is somebody who may have gotten a Juris Doctorate, but has not passed the bar. But whereas an attorney is a practicing attorney, a lawyer who has passed the bar. At least that's in a nutshell how that works. But you can still be an attorney and be a lawyer, but you can't be a lawyer and be an attorney unless you have a license or authorization to practice law. So let me see here. Yeah, you know the law when you realize how much you're being screwed. That's for sure. We are all distracted. We are all distracted by a USA sympathetic lawyer. Okay, I don't know about all that. Yeah, I would say that the vast majority of laws that are out there are unnecessary, Jeff. I would have to agree with you on that. Less government means more freedom. I mean, that's what separates America from all the other countries. That's why all the other countries hate us, like China and totalitarian governments. They don't like the idea of their citizenry having freedom. Look what happened to the King of France after he helped us win the revolution. His own people beheaded him because they got a taste of freedom. And so these totalitarians don't like it. And you see it happening in real time. That's why they pay off our politicians. Look who China's friends with, here in government. See what's going on real quick. Hit the like button. I'm loving it. Hit that like and subscribe button. All right. I'm just looking at all your comments here, guys. And at least 24 states have laws commonly referred to as law enforcement officer. Yeah. Oh man, oh man, oh man. So look, I don't want to bore you guys too much. I know that we've lost a lot of audience since I started, and it is my Friday. I do hope to look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on the Michael Ehline channel. And I hope you learned a little bit about the prison system and the horrible food that they make the prisoners eat. And I invite you to send me any research that you have that's current about the prison system with respect to statistics when it comes to violent and non-violent criminals. And I'm looking for any kind of stats that you can get me, because I do believe that prison reform, it's got to happen, guys. It's got to happen. It is just unbelievable what's going on with this. There's no reason that all these people should be locked up like this. The only people making money are politicians and the administrative state, people who work for the government. They're the ones who are getting rich off of locking up your family members. And I really think it's time for us to have a serious conversation about what do we really want for this country. Because right now it reminds me of Mad Max, the Road Warrior, where it's like us against them. And it's just not how it should be, guys. Like that movie with Sylvester Stallone, where he's that cop in the future or whatever, and he gets kicked out. You know which one I'm talking about. I'm sure you guys know which one I'm talking about. Judge Dredd. That's how it is right now. It feels like it's Judge Dredd, where it's the government and then everyone else. And it's just like how it was in the Soviet Union when you look at the examples. Look at Washington, D.C. Last time I was there, it was unbelievable. It was like going to Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, but it was everywhere. All of our money is over there in D.C. They've literally stripped our states of all of its gold, and it's all hanging out in D.C. Unbelievable, unfreaking believable. All right. So 40 million in prison. That is unbelievable. That is just crazy. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and bone out. It was really nice having this time to spend with you. I hope you had an opportunity to learn a little bit about what Chille's trying to do with the channel and where he wants to go in the future. Hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow on the @Michael Ehline channel. And hopefully I will see you on Conroe, Texas on Saturday at the Paul Ehline Memorial Motorcycle Ride. Bring your Harley. No rice rockets allowed. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because you never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel.